Европа остервенела, другого слова подобрать не могу. Даже напрашивается каламбур. Они сейчас являются частью международного оборзения по отношению к Российской Федерации, всячески заводят свои народы, внушают им в духе геббельсовской пропаганды, что Россия – это извечный враг, экзистенциальная угроза, что Россия вот-вот нападет на Европу, поэтому нужно забыть про социальные проблемы, про провалы в экономике, забыть про процесс деиндустриализации, который наблюдается в том числе и в Германии, и в других европейских странах. И все силы, все средства, все налоги бросить исключительно на милитаризацию Европы.
All right, I'm putting this at the beginning of the Ukraine video, so this is a little bit out of sequence, but I made the video and I forgot to tell you about this, is the Pokrovsk, the town is being overrun by the Russians. Now I've talked about that in many videos. It's a major logistics hub for Ukraine. And once that falls, Russia has 150,000 troops held in reserve. And they're rapidly going to march west of Pokrovsk, probably all the way to the Dnieper River. Because Ukraine just doesn't have the defenses to stand up to the Russians once that stronghold falls. So that is a major, major development. And I'm gonna look around Military Summer Channel or Ruskov. There's a bunch of different channels that will give us the latest on Pokrovsk. Let's watch that video now, and then we'll get into the rest of the story.
Now let's discuss the situation on the ground, and first let's talk about the most important direction during the previous 24 hours. We're going to talk about the Pokrovsk agglomeration and the Konstantinovka direction. First of all, and the most important, the Ukrainian authorities announced the evacuation of Kramatorsk. Authorities urged residents of Kramatorsk to leave the city. The Ukrainian armed forces have long made the occupied city of Dnipro their rear base. That was stated by pro-Russian resource. There are currently about 53,000 people in Kramatorsk. Leave, take care of yourself. The situation in the region is becoming more and more difficult every day. That was stated by the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. So as you can see, the situation is getting worse and worse for the Ukrainians. The Russians are trying to push Ukrainians to attack them with media and so on. At the same time, the Russians are not just pushing the Ukrainians in the media. During the previous 24 hours, very powerful breakthrough was recorded in the Konstantinovka direction. And this breakthrough is coming from the area of the Kliban-Byksky pocket. So as you can see, we have adjusted the map in the southwestern part of the pocket and in the southeastern pocket as well. So summarizing everything, we see that by the end of the 24th of July of 2025, the Russians secured around 90-95% of the settlement, and the Russians most likely will continue their offensive operation in coming days and hours. Now it seems that the Ukrainians most likely would be forced to fall back from the settlement of Alexandra Kalinova, because now, after the fall of the settlement of Yablunovka, Ukrainians will have no chances to hold their positions there. Most likely the Ukrainians would evacuate in the eastern direction, because currently I'm not sure whether the Ukrainians are able to evacuate themselves in the northern direction along N20 road, because they would be attacked by the Russians with short rifle fire. Several mappers reported that the Russians also secured a company strongholds to the west of the settlement of Sherbinovka. And as you can see, by the end of the 24th of July, the Russians managed to take this territory under complete control, and most likely the Russians will continue offensive. It seems that this defense line has collapsed as well. Ukrainians will not hold their positions. Most likely they will try to stabilize the situation around the villages of Katerinovka and Kliban-Byk. So we're talking about this territory. But the main problem is that this area is under complete Russian control. The Russians are bombing and attacking this territory with all type of calibers they have, which means that Ukrainians will not be able to feel themselves very comfortable in this area. Most likely the Ukrainians would be forced to fall back from this area as well, because with the Russian offensive operation in this area, According to information we have, the Russians continue their offensive operation in the area of Alexandra Shultina. And I would like to remind you that just yesterday, several very reliable pro-Russian resources reported that these days the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation will confirm Russian control over Alexandra Shultina. Now let's move in the direction of N32 road and in the direction of the northeastern part of the city of Pokrovsk and Pokrovsk agglomeration. The Russians continue their offensive operation in the northern direction, trying to improve their positions and trying to take under complete control this defense belt. The Russians are about to finish the situation. I would like to remind you that just yesterday several pro-Russian resources reported that the villages of Pankovka, Vladimirovka and Shakhova were already taken by the Russians, but as for the end of the 21st of July, we still haven't received anything that can confirm this, but at the same time we have some changes on the ground in Russian favor according to different sources. According to neutral mappers, the Russians secured these fields and these strongholds and managed to improve their positions significantly. But telling the truth, this is not the most important piece of news from the northeastern part of the Pokrovsk agglomeration. The most important news is coming from the city of Novoekonomichne. Telling the truth, just a minute before I started making this video, some very reliable pro-Russian resource reported that the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, managed to establish complete control over the city by the name of Novoekonomichne. So as for now, we are just talking about this. I'm just announcing this for you. Most likely, and there was a video published for this. The video was published by these AT's brigades, which is responsible for offensive operation. I watched this video before I started making this video, but during that video we had just a lot of episodes. We have just a lot of episodes of how the Russians were attacking Ukrainian positions with drones, with artillery, and not even a single episode with Russians with flags. But anyway, this report was made by a very reliable resource, so we believe that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation will confirm complete control over this territory. And we understand that if Novoekonomichne falls, this is the beginning of a complete collapse of the entire Pokrovsk agglomeration. Telling the truth, there are too many fogs of war above the city of Pokrovsk and Pokrovsk agglomeration. It's still unclear the situation, the complete picture in the northeastern part of the agglomeration. We don't know for sure about the village of Novoekonomichne, and of course, it's completely unpredictable situation in the southwestern part of the city itself. Whether the Russians control this part or not, nobody knows. Maybe just Zelensky, Syrsky, and soldiers on the ground, and of course Russian generals who are responsible for this offensive operation. But telling the truth, it seems that the city of Pokrovsk is going, the battle for the entire agglomeration is going to be the fastest battle since the beginning of the special military operation, much faster than the battle for Bakhmut, for the city of Mariupol, and probably much faster than the battle for the city of Toretsk and Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, and many others. And the most important is that most likely the Russians, due to the situation that they are about to encircle the city, will be able to save these constructions, buildings, houses in the territory of agglomeration for civilians in the future. So the Russians, it seems that trying to save the city agglomeration itself with the purpose to allow civilians to return back to the city in the future after war ends or after the Russians are able to push Ukrainians as far as possible from the current line of combat contact.
Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. July 24th, 2025. Let's get into it. This is my special Ukraine update that I've been promising for a long time. I've been gathering a lot of information on Ukraine. I learned my lesson in the last video. It was way too long. You can check it out on the Florida Man News Network. That's Florida MNN. Florida MNN on YouTube. Or I would prefer you go to the Burn channel. The Burn, all one word, no space, on Rumble. All right. Yeah, that video was too long to go up on Rumble. I had to handbrake it down, which ruins the video quality. Woo! All right, let's get into some general news before we get into the Ukraine video. And by the way, this might be 2 or 3 videos because we got a lot to get through. And I've learned my lesson not to post one long video. We'll post multiple shorter videos. So the first thing was Ghislaine Maxwell. Word is that Trump's going to break her out of prison and bring her in to testify. Well, that's just, once again, that's just deflection. She's going to say whatever they tell her to say. So imagine a CIA guy gets her into a room and he says, if you talk about this, we'll kill you. You talk about that, we'll kill you. If you want to go free, this is what you're going to say. And this is what you're going to tell the American people. And this is what you're going to testify to. So even if she wanted to tell the truth, and by the way, how can you trust a child sex trafficking queen? Anyway, I mean, I think she'll say anything to get out of jail. So to me, that's just a deflection by the Trump administration. So that's just my opinion on that subject. The next thing I wanted to get into was there was a brief B-52 bomber flying over a fairground, for an air show. And unfortunately, they didn't have radars around there. And it almost hit a passenger plane. But what's funny is it wasn't the military pilot that avoided the collision. It was the pilot of the passenger plane. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been in a passenger plane that went flying along like this and then went like that. That's the turn he had to make. Can you imagine what was flying around in there? The cocktails flying off the tables and those rolling carts rolling down the aisles. Oh my God. Nobody talks about that, It kind of pisses me off that the news, I mean, it would be wonderful if they say, well, he made a hard turn. Well, can you imagine being on that plane? I'm surprised somebody wasn't brained by one of those carts. Maybe some serious injuries. Well, and what happened to the stewardesses? I mean, maybe the pilot came on just before, hold on to your seats. We're making a hard turn. I mean, I don't know if he had time to even make that judgment. Sounded like a spur of the moment. Anyway, that was the other one. A brief update on Gaza. The bait piles are working quite well. They're still baiting the Palestinians in and shooting them. Christian nationals everywhere in the United States are celebrating because we got a really good way of killing Palestinians. And I know of 4 people who have dropped dead trying to get to the bait pile, have dropped dead of starvation. So if we can't shoot them, we can certainly starve them to death. And I imagine many of them are dying from disease. So I don't think the Palestinians have much longer. We'll have all 2 million of them exterminated here before long, but we did have a development that I thought was interesting, and that was China. China came out and said, look, we're just not going to put up with this any longer. So they're saying they're going to take some sort of action against Israel to help the Palestinians. I was wondering when some nation somewhere in the world would stop the genocide, or at least, do something about it. So my hat's off to China, a dictatorship that says they're going to do something about it. Now, who knows what they can do or will do. And then, of course, Turkey, Erdogan, he's making rumblings that, he's going to do something. He never does. I wouldn't trust anything out of Erdogan's mouth. So anyway, that's that general news. So we got to get into there was one 4th item. I'll think of it later. Maybe we'll put it later on in the video. I can't think of it right now. Hold on, let me take a break and get that 4th item before we get into the video. All right, I remember what it was, but I'm not going to hit that because it's actually part of the video. I wanted to talk a little bit of cybersecurity real quick because, I'm redoing my video studio. Woo, one hell of a project. I haven't rebuilt and torn apart computers in many years. And man, oh man, an old dinosaur can be taught new tricks. I'm going to tell you what. So the first thing was, I was in the last video, and I apologize, I was saying I was using Yummy as my multi-boot tool. And Yummy's still a great multi-boot tool, but it's outdated. I didn't know. Go look at Ventoy. This is awesome. And I can't believe they were able to make this, but Ventoy, you just go and download the software and make a bootable USB drive, and then you can download the ISO file for whatever you want. And so there's no running the software to configure it. You just copy the ISO file on there. And then also, I didn't know about this, was because I've got, I have the old Microsoft Action Pack. I was a Microsoft partner way back in the day, but those ISOs are, good Lord, were from 2011. I would imagine that the Windows 10 install ISO and the Windows 11 ISO have changed over the years. Well, it turns out you can download, you can go up for 10, you have to download a tool from Microsoft, and then it will make an ISO on your hard drive, and then you can copy that over into Ventoy and boot into Windows. Now, Windows has when you boot up, it has repair option, so you can go in and do your recovery that way, so you don't need to make a recovery boot drive. So I was wrong about that. I was telling you to buy a bunch of USB drives. You don't need that. You can get away with just one or two. Now, the next tool that I thought was really awesome is check out Medicat. It's MEDICAT. Awesome tool. Oh my God, it has everything. It's about 32 gigabyte download. Because what it does is it downloads all the tools you can ever. I was wondering when somebody would do this. They took every tool known to mankind that programmers have written since the earth was created and put it in this thing. Now, the one thing that I needed to do, and I give you this advice, when you're rebuilding computers, never install an operating system onto a disk that has an operating system. Even though you say erase all data and install, what happens is a lot of times those happy programmers, the software, and I don't know why they do this, it'll look out and it'll see that there's an installed version of Windows or Linux or whatever. And it'll say, well, he doesn't mean erase everything, so we're going to keep this, that, and the other in case he decides to go back, or she, or whatever, the programmer. And so sometimes you get trash, or you used to. Now, maybe they fixed all that, and it does actually erase it, but I don't trust that. And so I was looking for, I was looking for the Western Digital ISO and the Seagate ISO. And unfortunately, all they're providing now is tools that install into Windows or Mac OS. And then you can't, from those tools, generate an ISO file, although I think Western Digital, well, maybe with Seagate, says they're going to come out with something soon. So I went back to some old legacy ISO files, and they didn't work. They wouldn't, even on the Ventoy, it wouldn't boot up into those legacy ISOs. So I said, well, what third-party tool can I use? And I just wanted to throw this out because it's an oldie, but a goodie, and I guess they've updated it. And that's the Mini Tool Partition Wizard Technician. Awesome. It's an old tool, and what you want to do is you can see, zero the drive. It also has, everybody's heard of Bleach Bit. Well, this also has military-grade wiping, disk wipe, where it'll make 3 passes, or you can make 7 passes if you really want to make sure that NSA can't get at those files. I mean, 3 passes is going to take one hell of a long time because just zero in the drive can take upwards of 4 hours, and that's only 2 terabytes. Oh my God. Can you imagine 7 passes? It probably would run for about 3 days. Plus, the Lord, when you do that, you're wearing out the disk. But I guess if you really want to erase that data, you can do it that way. I don't know. Might be better to just drop it in a tub of acid and let it just eat the plates away. Or you can drill into it, and then you got to scratch those plates because they can still get into a drive that you've drilled into. Just saying. All right, so let's get into the Ukraine war right now. Oh, well, there's 2 other tools I wanted to tell you about. There's Hirens, Hirens. I wasn't real impressed with it, but a lot of people on YouTube were recommending it. But Medicat has replaced Hirens. I wouldn't even bother with Hirens, but if you want to use a scaled down something and you just don't have the space, if you don't have 32 gigabytes, you can use Hirens. It's a lot smaller download. Anyway, and then there's another tool that I want to look into. It's called FBackup, and it's free. And supposedly what's nice about it is if you've got the USB drive attached to your computer and you run FBackup, it'll automatically detect which files have changed on your computer, just like a cloud drive, like a Google Drive or a OneDrive, and it'll copy that onto the USB drive. All right, enough on that. Let's get to Ukraine. Sorry, it's going to be a long video. But I call myself that cybersecurity guy, and I know that I should stick to the topic at hand, but I try to help you a little bit because knowing what's going on in Ukraine, I mean, you need to know it, but it's not like it really helps you personally. So let's get the personal stuff out of the way. So the huge development too, as of making this video, is rumor is, I have yet to verify it, that we're sending low-grade tactical nuclear weapons to Great Britain for the Trump war with Russia. You know, because Trump is at war with Russia. For no Trump administration, they've got us into a war with Russia. I can't believe it. We tried to elect a president that would get us out of war, and instead now he's going to threaten a freaking nuclear superpower who's got more nuclear weapons than we do, and they just redeveloped their intercontinental, the Oreshnik, ballistic missiles that can strike anywhere in Europe and nothing can shoot them down, and we're going to threaten them with low-yield tactical nuclear weapons, giving them to Great Britain? Now you might say, oh, well, Great Britain needs to be defended. Dude, Great Britain already has nuclear weapons. They don't need low-yield tactical nukes. And plus, those nukes can be loaded on like an F-35 or another plane. Trump has lost his ever-loving mind. Please, God, somebody talk some sense into Trump, man. I mean, I understand he wants to go to war. He's a war president. I mean, he's all for the genocide of the Palestinians. You know, but my God, I mean, I guess he wants to end the world. Is this invasion of the body snatchers? Who the freak is taking over Trump's body? This ain't the Trump that I thought we were electing. Something's happened. Maybe they hooked him up. Remember in Star Trek when they had that brainwashing machine or something? Maybe they hooked him up to that. Maybe that's what they do to all presidents. I don't know. But, and then of course, as of a day or two ago, there were protests in Ukraine. Now I'll keep updating this video. That's all that I saw, and it's about time that the Ukrainians are protesting the war. So they were protesting Zelensky, so maybe Zelensky doesn't have much longer in government. Who knows? I got a video on that. Let's watch that video of the protest. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about the video up front. So that was awesome, wasn't it? Those missiles shooting downrange. Well, let's watch what it might look like on the receiving end. Let's watch another video. There's going to be a lot of short videos in this video. So this is, we're going to get into, this is Russian news. Unusual. And this was as of 2 days ago. 3 strikes with Kinjal hypersonic missiles hit NATO military targets in Kiev. Greetings to the American Patriot system. And we got that video. Let's watch that now.
Вот и ракета, блядь. На нахуй еще одна, блядь. И еще, блядь. Три ракеты, блядь. Ёбаный рот. Экшен. Заказывали.
All right. So that was pretty cool. Then we got another post. Sorry, I got a quick switch in hands. My right arm, there's something wrong with it. I got to go to a doctor, but I need to lose 10 pounds first. Hence, being out here hiking. Okay, this was New Rules Politics. It says massive last night strikes. This was 2 days ago. Kiev, Ivano-Frankivsk, and Kharkov hit hard. Russian forces launched a major coordinated attack drones, missiles, and hypersonic Kinzhals targeted energy, industry, and transport. And we got a picture of the drone flights. By the way, just so you know, the Russians, I don't know what the hell they're manufacturing. We got a video on them manufacturing the drones here in a bit. And they're launching upwards of 500 to 1,000 drones every single damn day. I mean, can you imagine living under that? I mean, imagine if you're, out mowing the lawn and here comes a drone flying overhead and you don't know if it's going to swoop down and kill you. Oh my God, I can't imagine living in Ukraine right now. So it says, Kiev under fire again. Dozens of Germain-2 drones overwhelmed defenses. Bad weather crippled air defense direct hits confirmed. Iskander missiles and Tu-95 MS strikes reported in Kiev and Vinnytsia region. The Artem defense plant, a key arms producer, was hit, causing collateral damage over, and I ain't even going to try to pronounce this loud language guy, station. All right, here's Che Bowles. And by the way, there was a video, but it wasn't very good. I'm not going to show you the video. I got to start kind of filtering and just put the good stuff in. All right, so Che Bowles, official Ukrainian mortality statistics for the first half of 2025 reveal a terrifying reality. 86,795 births versus 249,002 deaths. At this rate, by 2030, Ukraine will lose between 4 and 6 million people. That's without including those fleeing the dictatorship and he said, got it, emigration spelled with an E, so I guess that's an outflow rather than an inflow. EMI-GRA, immigration. So I didn't know that was a word. Learn something every day, right? Let's keep going. Oh yeah, this is, look at that picture right there. I don't know what this was supposed to mean. It was attached to Che Bowles, but it's a picture of Zelensky on the dollar, and I kind of wanted to talk about the dollar. Now this kind of reminded me, was China right now is selling off the treasuries big time. So they're not real happy with the Trump genocide of the Palestinians, or the Christian nationals. I mean, our Christian nationals like Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Todd Stearns, Ben Shapiro, I bet each night they're just celebrating, probably, doing celebratory backflips across their floors because we're getting damn close to exterminating all the Palestinians. That's going to make them real happy, man, real happy. So anyway, I kept that dollar up for a minute just to talk about China. And of course, BRICS is moving. There was a statistic that Russia and India and China are now doing, I think it's like 95% of their transactions in their own currencies. I think I've talked about that in previous videos. And of course, then we got to get into silver and gold and platinum. Good Lord, platinum 1444 or something like that. And then you got gold. Good Lord, I don't know what the price was, 1,400, somewhere around there, 13 something. And then silver, we're getting ready to break a threshold. That was at $39.50 an ounce. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a psychological hit to a lot of people in the United States when that crosses $40. I mean, because that, I don't know what it is, those nice round numbers. When it crossed 30, that was a big psychological hit. When it crossed 20, that was a big, but when it crosses 40, whoo, that's going to be interesting. See what happens there. So let's, all right, talk about how it symbolizes Israel first and Ukraine second. Yeah, that dollar symbolizes that we put Israel first, Ukraine second, and the United States third. Really thought that Trump was going to be an America first president, but it's not turning out that way. This is Spens 007. Boy, I tell you, he puts up these Russians put up a lot of good stuff on X. If you're not there, you're not getting your news. Rare footage into Russia's Germain-2 factory. The Al-Buga plant pushes out almost 200 kamikaze drones per day. The Germain-2 has been the real game changer in the SMO, and the US even started copying them. Cheap to produce and highly effective, with 2x F-16 kills also to its name. So evidently the drones took out 2 F-16s. And let's watch that video of the factory. It's a really cool video. Watch that now. All right, wasn't that cool? I mean, does Russia look like a gas station? What did they call it? A gas station posing as a country? Is that what McCain said? Yeah, I don't think so. Not looking at that drone factory. So this is a dam. This is more, because we keep sticking with the drone stuff here. Multiple Jarane 2 and glide bomb strikes occurred at the Shirtaka State Plant in the Sumy region. And it's SHOS, Shasta, TKA. The plant is one of the oldest ammunition manufacturers in Ukrainian territory. We got a video of that plant going up. Let's watch that explosion. Woo! Wasn't that interesting? This is an excellent post by Russia News. It's a thread, and but it tells you the dark truth about Ukraine. And also, I want to add in, as I read this to you about Russia, this is also true of your Democrat neighbors. If you know a Democrat, this is very true for them. Okay? So, because this is what they're all about. This is what a Democrat is all about. So you can just replace Ukraine with Democrat because they're peas in a pod. And as you know, the Democrats sent a lot of money to Ukraine and laundered it back to themselves. But let's get into the dark truth about Ukraine and Democrats. Behind war headlines is a global trafficking hub. Prostitution earns more than jobs. And Ukraine has become Europe's center for child sex, organ, and surrogacy trafficking. Much like the Democrats did here in the United States. They trafficked in 350,000 children. Some of those, the organs have been ripped out from what I understand. And of course, they gave them to the cartels so that they could get the kickbacks from those children being raped time and time again. You know a Democrat, then that's who they are. We got a picture of the kids on a school bus. I forgot about that. Let's get that video, that picture up. And you know, because by the way, that's how we brought a lot of the people into the United States, was on buses like what you're looking at. So I just wanted to put that up. So Ukraine's collapse began in the 2000s. Major cities, Kiev, Kharkov, became hotspots for child pornography and abuse. In 2010, the government abolished its family ministry. Thousands of missing children. No one was held accountable. That's true of the Democrats. No one was held accountable for child trafficking. In fact, they endorsed it. They were behind it. In fact, they funded the NGOs that brought the children in. And I imagine many Democrats were employed by those NGOs supporting that whole network. So, thread 2, Ukraine's sex laws are full of loopholes. No clear age definitions for trafficking. Grooming online is legal unless there's physical contact. Offenders are rarely convicted. Predators thrive. The state turns a blind eye. So the state endorses the child trafficking in Ukraine. Pretty sad. Yet Trump's giving them billions of dollars. This is what your taxpayer money's funding. If you're Trump dude, he ain't all peaches and cream, is he? I don't like it. In 2003, the Clinton Foundation began funneling. I got a picture, by the way, of the foundation. I'll put it up. Clinton Foundation began funneling millions into Ukraine. By 2022, Zelensky's Children Foundation was born, with military Clinton as the key donor. I don't know what they mean by with military Clinton. Must be the Clinton Foundation is the key donor. Within months, 556 children vanished across Europe. Fate unknown. Let's keep going. Told you it's going to be a long video. It's going to be a couple of videos. All right. Insiders exposed the names tied to the child relocation. And these are I'm not trying to slander these people. This is just what he wrote down. And these are shocking because I can't believe it, because I've never heard anything bad about some of these people. But these are the names he's listed. James Cleverly. I don't know who that is. Jimmy Fallon. I don't know why that's the name's in there. Matt Damon and Brooke Shields. Unbelievable. I don't know. Over 1,500 children were redistributed between 2022 in 2024, and I got a picture of the 4 of them. So you be the judge. I'm just reading this. I have no evidence to say that that's true or not. Thread 5, a French driver testified, I delivered children, asked no questions. One day I found an old man half naked waiting for the girl. That's when I quit. Writer Bernard Henry Levy, Epstein's friend, allegedly received a Ukrainian boy. We got a picture of the driver here, and looks like an honest dude to me. What do you think? I don't know. So, whoo, hope you don't know, you can appreciate how much work goes into putting up all these pictures and the text and, and doing all this research. I'm just crying on your shoulder for 1 minute because only 5 people watch these videos. Oh man, I got a fly on the camera here. Luckily he's not on the lens. I'll just leave him be. I hope he doesn't fly around and bite me. SBU agent Sergei Borisov, Borisov, tied to MI6, ran trafficking ops alongside Kiev Mayor Kitsko. I'll just put the text up. 2 SBU-backed groups, White Angels in Phoenix, abducted children in war zones. 1,000 plus kids missing from Zaporizhzhia and Kherson, Zaporozhye. It's kind of a different spelling. That's why I was wondering if that's Zaporozhye. All right, so thread 8, Odessa's orphanage became rape tourism sites. Massages, special rooms, no overnight. U.S. families reportedly paid $2,000 to rape 12 and 15-year-old girls. Victims say, I was raped. Authorities never cared. We got a picture of the children right here. Kind of depressing, huh? This is the Ukraine that Trump's sending all your money to. Just saying, this is the Ukraine that Trump's sending all your money to. Can I say that over and over again? Ukraine is not the clean hero Western media sells you. It's an epicenter of modern trafficking with deep links to the Clintons, MI6, Epstein circles, and more. Credit to Alex, and this is, by the way, we already read a post by him, and I'll put it in the thing. For his original deep dive, this is a condensed version of his important work. And then we got David Z, and this is from Dmitry Medvedev. I tell you what, I love Dmitry Medvedev. He's the bulldog for Putin to say all the things that Putin can't say. And let's just read what he had to say, because I think this is funny as hell. European morons have agreed to the 18th package of sanctions against our country. It makes no sense to write that is capable of changing Russia's position exactly as much as the previous 17 managed. In other words, they ain't going to change their position just because they passed an 18. It's just, I talked about that in the last video, but you may not have gotten to it because it was such a long video. Sorry. Let's see. Our economy, of course, will withstand the rout of the Banderite regime will continue. Strikes against the objects of so-called Ukraine, including Kiev, will be carried out with increasing force. It is also necessary to promote a course towards maximum distancing from the EU and the most odious countries. Well, I got to start heading back. It's going to get dark on me. I got a late start today. So, sorry. I got off on a tangent. The most odious countries of the European Union, which now include only miserable Balts, insolent Finns, underdeveloped Poles, and Britons overgrown with their own shit. But also Germany and France, whose leaders are haunted by the laurels of the Third Reich and the Vichy of the Vichy regime, V-I-C-H-Y, Vichy. Now, how this ends for Europe is known. We only need to preserve the memory of their vile Russophobia for as long as possible and learn to hate them as strongly as our ancestors could. Hate is the most important weapon that allows us to move most effectively towards its opposite, love. Of course, in relation to those who deserve it. P.S. the disgusting old woman, Ursula, she is ugly, isn't she? Oh my God, you ever seen Ursula von der Leyen? Oh my God, it's like looking at Nancy Pelosi. Although Nancy Pelosi would scare me in a closet, Ursula would just kind of be like, oh, that's ugly. Woo! Ursula announced to the EU strike at the heart of Russia's war machine. I'm not sure she understands what the heart is, but she seems to always think with one part of her body, the one she's involved with during her unsuccessful medical practice. And we got a picture of Dmitry Medvedev, just in case you didn't know what he looked like. So that's the guy that is always putting up posts that are, to me, they're funny as hell. I just love them. All right, so this is Geoman, and he's on X, Geoman AT. According to the National Interest, Russia has effectively wiped out nearly all of the American-made M1 Abrams tanks delivered to Ukraine. Military Watch magazine reports that out of 31 tanks provided, got a fly bite me, that hurt, only 4 remain operational, and an attrition rate of 87%. Now, if you didn't know, a lot of those tanks are on display in Moscow. Some of them have been put in museums. I don't know if somebody who's been to Russia, leave me a comment. Are they out like in the square? Maybe as, just something for people to look at as they walk around to getting from to the grocery store or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. And so anyway, let's keep going. This is Lat 71, made of steel. A Russian military man in the SVO zone saved his wounded comrade by riding a quad bike with a cart through minefields. The wounded soldier is alive. The evacuation and medical care for him were successful, the source of personnel points out. Now, I looped this video twice. Look at this rescue. It's insane. Let's watch that video. Wasn't that crazy? Did you see that shit blowing up, man? I'll tell you what, Russia's got some brave freaking soldiers. That was insane. This is Lord Bebo. This is what your taxes pay. The salaries of Zelensky's kidnappers. They grab men everywhere and drag them out like animals to the front. Now, we got a video of this kidnapping, but I wanted to point out in this video because it broke my heart. I mean, it's bad enough that the woman is screaming, but look at the dog when you watch this video. I mean, it's the cutest dog ever, and think that that dog will never see his father or his master ever again. Let's watch that video.
Вибачте, ну собакою, ну.
Что вы делаете? Яка квартира? Третий этаж. Давай. Зачем ты меня бьешь? Хотишь? Нет! 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 Ты куда? Нет! Нет!
Wasn't that crazy? Didn't he just love that dog to know that that guy is going to get sent to the front lines? That's what they're doing, kidnapping him off the streets. All right, this is Sputnik. This is a hell of a thread. This is insane. By the way, I hope the lighting's good enough. It's getting pretty damn dark. The sun has set. Let's keep going. Dear Americans, we see that you're planning to send another weapons package to Ukraine. A friendly reminder that your precious weapons packages are turned into scrap metal by Russian forces. Let's refresh your memory. Now, I didn't make note of all the videos because he posted, I don't know, 12, 16 short videos, and they're all clumped into, and so what I'm going to do is as we read this, I'm going to litter the videos throughout this thread, because it's going to take me a long time. That's what I hate it when these people break up the videos into a bunch of short little clips, because then I got to go through clip after clip after clip and make a video of it, just trying to show it. So if I'm not introducing the videos, just understand that we're just reading the thread, and I'll just interject along the way. U.S. sent 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. up to 27 of which have been destroyed, captured by Russian troops. The cost of an Abrams tank is over $10 million per unit.
Полностью готовый к боевому применению дрон. Именно таким был вчера подбит.
Леопард стоит, разъебанный, а он водитель лежит выебанный. Вот так вот пытает этих, блядь, тут. Вот такого. Гибли. Леопарда.
Это не наш.
Whew. Sorry. Wait a minute. What's going on with my notes? Yeah, training and maintenance included. Sorry. On the last page here. The U.S. sent over 400 Stryker vehicles to Ukraine, many of which were used for suicide charges across Russian airfields or as target practice for Russian drones. Cost of unit, $4 to $6 million. U.S. sent over 300 Bradley fighting vehicles to Ukraine. Up to 175 have been abandoned or destroyed. Cost per unit, $3.2 million. And Trump is continuing to send these weapons to Ukraine. Trump has sent 40, or U.S. has sent 40. Heck on it, got another fly biting on me. Ooh, that hurt. U.S. sent 400 or 300, yeah, 440 Max Pro vehicles to Ukraine, nearly 200 of which have been captured or destroyed. Cost per unit, $788,000. The U.S. sent 40 HIMARS artillery systems to Ukraine. Although they were initially effective, Russia's electronic warfare has largely blinded them. Also, Russian drones and missiles have become good at blowing them up. I imagine there's not many left. I'll be honest with you. The U.S. has supplied Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. A single battery costs over $1 billion, but they're struggling against cheap but effective Russian Germain drones. The Germain is ingenious, loiters at about 10,000 feet, out of range of most air defense, and then drives straight down at supersonic speeds, very hard to intercept. All right, believe it or not, that's it for the video. Now, if it's less than an hour, I'll post it as one video. If not, you're gonna get two videos. I'm gonna go back through the notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. And as I think of things, we'll tack on the way back. If not, peace out and stay free. All right, now that the video is over about Ukraine, I'll just put this at the end because obviously news will continue to come out, but I'm very skeptical as to whether anyone will ever be prosecuted, but seems like Trump has sicked Tulsi Gabbard on Brennan, Obama, Clapper, and Comey. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that, I tell you what, it could save the Trump presidency. If they actually bring charges against the four of them, they don't even have to get a conviction. That will satisfy the MAGA movement. You know, can't help it if you get a bad judge or a jury finds them innocent or whatever. If they just get charged, that is going to make a lot of MAGA Republicans happy. Now, as I've pointed out in previous videos, that's still not going to do anything for Trump being able to win Michigan or Wisconsin, because he's with the genocide of the Palestinians. You know, when you kill 2 million people as a president, you're going to piss off some Arab voters. And that was a huge voting bloc that he had in the 2024 election that he certainly won't have. And a lot of Jewish voters. You know, a lot of Jews are against the extermination of the Palestinians. So he's losing that vote too. And young people, I pointed this out, that a lot of the youth vote, they're not for the genocide that's taken place in Palestine. So, by him exterminating the Palestinians or genociding the Palestinians, he's going to lose a lot of votes. Although the Christian nationals, I imagine they're all going to come out in force for Trump. Like I said, you want to watch Levin or Hannity or Stearns or Clay and Buck, any of those right-wing commentators, they're gonna be all happy because when all the Palestinians are dead, that'll really, and of course their listening audience. But that's a small percentage of the vote. I'm just telling you. So anyway, that's it. I wanted to add that to the video. All right, one last tip for all you old computer and young. If you're in your 40s or 30s or whatever, you probably have accumulated quite a bit of computer equipment over the years, like me. And by ripping apart my video studio and basically reinitializing all the computers, ripping out the hard drives and everything, it's a wonderful opportunity to get rid of a lot of old hardware. So, for example, I've got an old video card, and I'm going to see if I can put in a dual card on either of those old machines, and see if that'll work, because software has advanced quite a bit from when those computers were built. And from what I understand, Linux recognizes a hell of a lot of hardware now. By the way, a lot of updates coming out for Linux, if you didn't know. New kernels coming out. They're getting away from the old X11 graphics interface. KDE Plasma has been updated. So we're getting a whole new graphics platform. Tobias is coming out with a whole new kernel that's going to be much more secure. Linux to me is a lot better than Windows. So if you got an old computer, you get rid of Windows, man. zero those hard drives with the mini tool, and then and install Linux. And you'll be, I guarantee you, you'll be very, very happy. Like I said, I like the KDE graphics interface a lot better than the GNOME. You do you. You know, Cinnamon Mint is probably the best GNOME operating system for Linux. And I like the K Ubuntu, not Ubuntu. That's the GNOME or the Unity interface. I like the KDE or the K Ubuntu. That's my favorite flavor of Linux right now. Now, until I get into virtualization, which I will be getting into because VirtualBox has advanced 100-fold since I last wrote about it back in 2016. So with virtualization, I'm going to play with a bunch of different Linux distributions and see if I like one better. And the nice thing about Linux is you can always just go back and nuke what you got and reinstall it and say, oh yeah, you know what? Now I got the new shiny computer. All right, so I just wanted to hit on all of that because, you know, I can tack this on to the end of the video, just some talking points. So there you go. Put you together a Linux system. Go out, tear those old computers apart. You know, and then when you discover that that old hardware just ain't gonna work with anything you got, time to take it to Best Buy to be recycled. Don't throw it in the garbage, okay? And then that hard drive, there's a lot of metal in that hard drive. You can zero it out and send it to, I'll put in a future video, I'll let you know there's a place where you can send them and they recycle hard drives. And I mean, it'll cost you the cost of shipping, but other than that, and also they accept CDs as well. So all those old CDs and DVDs you got, you can ship those there to be recycled too. Come on, people. Let's do what we can for the environment. Before it gets completely dark, I did want to talk about a post that was on X. I don't know if it was legit. It wasn't community noted, but it was a picture of some of our Navy ships, and there was rust all over the sides of those ships. I understand that. You know, 20 years ago, one speck of rust and the ship was mothballed. I mean, these were huge blotches of rust, clearly visible from a distance. If that's the shape of our Navy, we're hurting, people. We are hurting.